Hello and welcome to another huge update interview, and I'm currently with the podcasters of SuperJump Radio. Please introduce yourselves.
Aaron, you want to go first?
Hi. I'm Aaron Randolph, the owner, proprietor, sole creator of Pantsless Shorts, and Pantsless Shorts does a lot of goofy videos, comedy, commentary, all sorts of stuff. And I just started streaming for GOG.com, but SuperJump Radio was an idea that Caassidee and I shared, and I co-host it with her, and she's been brilliant, and the show's been really awesome. So I'm really happy about it. I'm glad to be here and talk about it. Yay!
Yay! Yes. And I am Caassidee Moser. I am the co-host, the other half of SuperJump Radio, although we do bring a friend on every week.
The superior half, let's be honest.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm also a freelancer for a couple websites, mostly IGNs where most of my work is. Also a little bit at Killscreen, a little bit at Pixelkin, a little bit with CG Magazine up in Canada.
All right. So, First off, I just want to talk about, because it's been a deliberation between us three for the past week now, and that's time zones.
Oh, boy.
And how me and Cassie believed we were both in the same time zone.
Well, okay, what does GMT stand for you guys?
GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time, which is...
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was General Mountain Time.
No.
That's what it used to be in the States. It used to be called General Mountain Time, but no, not anymore. No, it's something else. I can't remember. I think it might just be MT. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember.
They changed everything. Eastern Standard Time is now EDT, and I don't know what the D stands for, but
I've heard it's daylight, but I don't know if it has anything to do with daylight savings. I don't
know. Government, yay!
Yeah, we do good things, but we also get a lot of things really, really weird in the States.
Yeah. So, as we found out that you're both in America, I'm in the UK, we all had a good chuckle over that on messages. So, away from that now, I just want to, you touched on it quickly, Aaron, of just how you two came together to set up the SuperJump Radio podcast. And I just want to see if you could just go into a little bit more detail, just how you two came to meet and how this idea actually came about.
Okay, well, I started working with a site called Leviathan.com. Back when I was just doing YouTube videos, and that's all I did, but I just on a whim approached them to write for them, and they were like, yeah, sure, we'll bring you on. And I wrote a couple of articles, and they're like, we think you've got a great voice, we'd like to have you on the podcast as well. And that's where I met Caassidee Moser, and she led the Leviacast, as it was called, for years. We did it for at least 2 years, I think.
Yeah,
a long time. And
it was almost 150 episodes. I think we were over that.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I enjoyed it because I didn't really have that friend who I could talk really in depth about games with. So I geeked out about it every time. And when Leviathan decided to shut down Leviacast, I cut ties with them, friendly. They were always good to me, so no bad blood or anything. But
no, we were on really good standing with them. The reason we left was because neither of us were contributing content anymore. Because I had made the jump to freelancing, and Aaron was pretty much exclusively doing YouTube stuff, so we weren't doing anything else content-wise for him.
Yeah, we pretty much moved on, and the Leviacast was the only thing really keeping us there. But I was sorry to see it go, honestly. So we both kind of talked about it. We were like, we've been talking about maybe doing something different for a while now. Why don't we take this opportunity and do it? And Caassidee was like, we're just going to go ahead, and she jumped into it. She's like, we're going to do it. And she set up she got the website all set up. And the only thing I felt like I contributed in the beginning was helping out with the name. I'm like, all right, let's pick a name that has something to do with an ability or a power up in games that you really like. And that's when she suggested SuperJump, and thus SuperJump Radio was born. And it's been an even more entertaining and phenomenal show than we'd done before. I mean, we've been having a blast doing it. I have for certain. It's a lot more relaxed. Granted, it's not that hardcore into games, although we can have that talk. But it's usually we widened everything out to include all forms of geek content. So,
yeah, I'm not a fan of super. I mean, it has its place, definitely, I think, in the podcast world, but I don't really enjoy really rigid discussions. I don't like things that are very bullet pointy. I like it to be a little bit more free form, especially when it's just entertainment. And we had been kind of messing around because Leviathan was almost I can't say this word today. Exclusively, it was almost exclusively about games. And every now and then, like, I started getting more and more into comics, and I'd be like, I really want to talk about this week because I don't have anybody in real life to talk about it. So I would bring those up just as like a quick aside, or we would talk about movies a little bit or TV. Yeah. We'd have guests on that would sort of branch out into those as well. And so eventually, I'm like, well, why don't we just sort of expand this a little bit, and we can make it about just anything that's kind of geek related, because you can geek out about anything. And that's kind of what the point of it is. We
spent like the first 10 minutes of one episode talking about food.
And dogs.
And Chicago's restaurants, Portillo's, and all sorts of fun stuff. We talked about dogs. We talked pretty much anything. I mean, it's mostly centered on geek content, but occasionally we go into whatever tangent, strikes us. And it's been enormously freeing, and I think that's definitely had an impact on the quality of the podcasts that we're putting out. So I'm thrilled. I'm beyond happy with it.
I loved doing a Leviacast. I really did enjoy it, but I enjoy this even more just because I feel like I can go anywhere with it. It's so much more freeform, and we have room for so many more interesting discussions.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, completely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we want to talk about dogs or not, seeing how you guys just don't. I mean, have you actually considered about setting up a dog cast? With how much you actually talk about dogs?
I actually listen to a podcast every week called Can I Pet Your Dog? And
oh my
it's great. It is the best podcast. I love it. Because it's not like a dog show, it's not like a dog advice show, it's not a dog education show. It's just a bunch of dog nerds and just talking about how cute dogs are.
Have you ever watched dog TV?
Do you mean like Animal Planet kind of stuff?
No. It's a TV station developed for dogs.
Oh, I've heard of this. No, we didn't have it.
For dogs? Oh, good lord.
Yeah, so basically it just puts on like random images for like dogs to enjoy, and then like every half hour, just because like people may be watching, they'll put on a segment where they talk about dogs and they'll show off some like playing around and whatnot. It's the weirdest things, because you can just like watch it for hours and just watch this like ball jumping across the grass for like hours on end.
My dog loves watching just regular TV. She'll watch The Good Wife. She'll watch Buffy. She'll watch Bob's Burgers. She's got no problem with it.
Yeah. So, Cassie, you not only do the SuperJump Radio, but you also do the Freelance Gaming podcast.
Yes, the Freelance Game. Mm-hmm.
Yes. How do you feel doing multiple podcasts, and how do you feel about the freelance one? And because I want to talk more about your freelance stuff in a bit, so
sure. Freelance Game, it was started by Nathan Mounier and Andrew Hayward, who are both professional freelancers, and they had me on as a guest. It was probably about a year ago, because I had been doing fairly well, and like I had been talking to Nathan quite a bit, and we were friends. So he's like, "Yeah, why don't you just come on and be a guest so you can talk about it sometime?" And we had a really good time. And eventually, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, Andrew had to leave because it was just a little bit too much for his schedule. So Nathan approached me and just said, "Hey, do you want to co-host this with me?" He'd been on the Leviacast a couple times too, so we had a pretty decent working relationship. And I was like, "Yeah, of course." As far as like multiple podcasts, I mean, it's a lot of schedule juggling. That one we only do twice a month. I think it would be a lot harder if we did it 4 times like we do with SuperJump. And there's a lot more planning that goes into Freelance Game because we try to hit on different topics and different aspects of the writing life and kind of give people advice and ideas on how they can be successful. It's a little bit more, it's a definite change in tone. Like, it's still a lot of fun. We get to talk to a lot of really cool people, a lot of industry folks, but it's meant to be a little more inspirational and educational than it is entertaining and goofy and fun.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't talk about Jabba the Hutt's boobs on Freelance Game. That's exclusively a SuperJump thing. But yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. Well, with the we were talking about the freelance. So let's talk about how you got into freelancing to begin with, and how that journey has been for you up to now.
Well, freelancing is a very, very difficult lifestyle. That's, anytime people ask me about it, I always tell them first off, like, you gotta really soul search a little bit and make sure it's what you want to do. Because if you want to make money off of it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hustle. I enjoy it. I enjoy the flexibility it gives me. I also, I'm very fortunate to have very good relationships with a bunch of different editors at a bunch of different outlets, so I get work kicked over to me pretty frequently. I got into it doing what a lot of people look down on, which is writing for free. I wrote for Leviathan for a long time. I started, it was probably like tail end of 2011, early 2012. Feels like a long time. It's only 3 years? I don't know. But I started working for them, just doing random features and reviews and just kind of practicing and getting my feet wet with it. And I did that for probably about a year and a half. And I eventually found myself needing to make more money than I was making working at my regular job. So I started just sort of looking into the whole idea of being a freelancer. And that's when I kind of stumbled across Nathan's book, which is called... Oh boy, I'm not going to remember the name of it now. I'm so bad. The Freelance Game Journal Guide, I believe is what he calls it. And that was pretty much just like a step-by-step. So the biggest thing with freelancing is pitching. Like when you first start getting into it, you have to pitch ideas to different outlets for pieces that you want to write for them. And it's the most difficult and grueling thing. I hate doing it. I still have to, but it's one of the hardest things to do as a freelancer. And I put together an article idea, and I sent it over to Justin Davis at IGN, and that was one of the first pitches that I did. And I kind of got incredibly lucky, and that one was approved. And so once that went live, then I started just kind of hitting it and getting a few more. I got one at Joystick, I got one at US Gamer, then I picked up the gig with CG Magazine in Canada, and it's just kind of been a slow accumulation since then. And now I write for probably 4 or 5 outlets fairly regularly.
All right.
Yeah, don't be too modest though. It wasn't entirely luck. You're an incredible writer.
Well, thank you.
I've always before I got invited to do Leviacast, I was a fan of Cassidee's writing because I would read her articles on Leviathan, and I was like, she's got such a great way with words. Sometimes it blows my mind.
Oh, well,
although occasionally, like her article headers will be a little. I can't remember which one was the one about the fries in Japan. I don't remember that one. That one stuck in my head as
Catastrophe. That was when Japan McDonald's were running out of French fries. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We get to have fun with IGN News Post. We get to have a little bit of fun with the subheaders, and so I try to slip puns in there whenever I can.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. Yeah. Everybody's got a weird one getting into freelancing. It's a very strange thing.
No, I've heard many stories, and it's one I always love to hear. Especially I love to get the message out, and I love to hear the stories of how people started.
Sure.
Especially in freelance, and especially in game designer, because I've talked to a few of them in this little channel that I run, and just hearing their stories of just struggle, but at the same time with immense fun of just doing it. The level of freedom that they just seem to express just comes out in just their tone of how they talk about it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I said, it's real stressful, and you have to be a very certain type of person to do it and do it well, I think. Which, I'm not perfect at all. I'm still figuring things out. I've only been doing this full time for probably 4 or 5 months now. And it's still, every day I'm still sort of learning something new and trying to figure something else out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So on to Aaron, because I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah, because
fair enough.
Well, there's one thing in particular that struck me about you is how you actually got the streaming gig with GOG. If you wouldn't mind sharing that story.
Oh yeah, no, that's it's so funny. It's actually kind of a long, weird, involved story, but I'll try and cut it down as much as I can. I am a huge Tex Murphy fan. In fact, probably one of the first things that made my channel sort of blow up on YouTube was a series of videos I did on the old Tex Murphy games, Under a Killing Moon, Pandora Directive, and Overseer. And from that point on, like, I was welcomed like almost wholeheartedly into this community of Tex Murphy fans. And so when the Kickstarter for the new Tex Murphy game Tesla Effect went up, we all just kind of banded together and, did what we could. I made videos and whatnot. And, after it was successful, I was invited to come down for the premiere, and I met Matt Van Roon, who actually did the visual effects for the game. Like, he did a lot of the 3D, a lot of the 3D scenes and a lot of the full on like crazy effects. I don't think he did the finale, but he did a lot of the compositing of the putting the characters into the 3D scenes and so forth. And he's just a fantastically talented dude from Australia. He's a very, very funny guy too. And we hit it off instantly. And so we maintained this friendship after Tesla Effect was said and done and everything moved on. And he wound up getting a job streaming for GOG, and he put my name forth when they were looking for people to expand their U.S. audience and get into U.S. times. And I was about as much a streaming noob as you can imagine. Like, I'd done like maybe 2 or 3 streams of my own to like 3 or 4 viewers total. So I just wasn't, I had no idea what I was doing, but Matt was like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's really easy. Just come on and do it 2 hours twice a week. And I was like, okay. So my first stream was about as much of a nightmare as you can imagine. I didn't realize it at the time, but my internet connection was not strong enough to hold up the quality of video that I was trying to push out. So I started at like 720p, but I was dropping frames like crazy. But so yeah, my first stream was a nightmare, not the confidence booster you're hoping for when you first start up with something. But as time went on, I kind of I set the stream up to be as smooth as possible, and we've smoothed a lot of the wrinkles out. And now, I don't get paid for it, but I do get like a free game every week, which I can't complain about. I just streamed Grandia 2, which is an old JRPG from like the PlayStation 2 and Dreamcast it's one of the few RPGs from that era that I've actually finished. So it was a joy to be able to go back and do that again. And the GOG crew have been fantastic. They're all incredibly great people, really supportive, really fun. Every time there's been a problem or a question, they'll just jump right in to help out. So it's been a wonderful opportunity. I hope it does eventually lead to a little bit more financial success in the video arena, but we'll see how that goes. In the meanwhile, I'm just having a great time with it.
Yeah, and how because you've been doing YouTube, that's what your main focus has been on.
Yeah.
Like, how's getting, like, because you started in 2010, I believe. That's
wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Some good research there. Yeah, that's about when I started. I started my YouTube channel, Pantsless Shorts. It was an idea I had with friends of mine, and at first we were going to be a sketch comedy group. And then it occurred to me that I was the only person writing the scripts. My friends were more than happy to come over and act in them, but I was doing all the heavy lifting, the directing and writing and so forth. And so that kind of fell off after a while. And every now and then my friends will still come up to me with great ideas, but every single time I tell them, okay, great, write a script. And then come back to me. And so far that hasn't happened yet. But we've done a few things. A couple of my friends have splintered off to do their own YouTube group. But instead, what I started doing by myself was I started doing these gaming videos because I liked Nostalgia Critic very much, and I liked the style, the way he did things. In that he didn't necessarily tear movies to pieces, not all the time. Sometimes, yeah, of course, but sometimes it was kind of with like a loving, gesture. Like there were movies that he liked, but he still tore them apart and made fun of them because, that's what you do to be entertaining. So I started modeling myself after him, not so much after more successful personalities like the Angry Video Game Nerd and whatnot, but I wanted to do something focused on my memories, so I started this video series called The Save Files. And that series is still going, though it's not really the focus anymore, but over time it's kind of mutated into this thing where if I get a bug up my butt to do something specific, then I will focus on that. But otherwise, I have like several different series that I enjoy going to every now and then, like the Pantsless, which is my list video series. Top 5, top 5 games of the year I do, and some other more specific, weirder countdown lists. And then there's there's probably Cassidy's favorite, which is Baby Got Backlog.
It's really good.
it's the video series where I try to cut a dent into my massive backlog of games that I either haven't played or didn't really give a fair shake to. And I enjoy doing all of these videos and things and Let's Plays from time to time, but that is still, even with the streaming, that is still my main focus. That's what I really enjoy doing, aside from SuperJump Radio, of course, because I geek out over getting to do that every week. I get excited. I can't help it. Like if I know I'm going to be recording a podcast later that day, I'm like all day. I'm like, ooh, yes, SuperJump Radio, let's do it. And one of the reasons I really enjoy it is because we do trivia at the end of every episode, and I am such a massive game show nerd. Like huge. Like I've been watching nothing but game show videos on YouTube since I got home. That kind of massive game show nerd. So we had played around with trivia on Leviacast for a while, but when Cassidy said, let's bring it back for SuperJump Radio, I'm like, all right, we need a really simple format. We need something.
Hold on. It wasn't my idea. It was your idea. You said, I want to bring it back, and I said, cool, that's going to be your responsibility because I do not have time.
Yeah. No, I was totally
too busy looking at dog trivia.
I am. It's true. It's probably very true.
Looking at lists on BuzzFeed about corgis.
Okay, I saw one the other day about dogs that had photobombed pictures, and it was the cutest thing I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, God.
A lot of dogs with derp faces. Made me very happy.
Have you seen, this is ages ago, but have you seen Corgi Swimming?
I have watched many videos of Corgi Swimming. Is there one in particular, or is it just any? Oh,
it's ages ago. It's just watching corgis jump into water off of a dock. It's the funniest thing because they get no momentum at all. They just jump, spread the legs out, and just drop.
Yeah,
it's It's the dumbest thing.
It's so cute. Yeah, they just do a little belly flop into the water. I love them. Anyway, I'm sorry. I hijacked this.
Sorry. We didn't mean to cut off your talk about.
I don't want people to think it was my idea because it wasn't. It was Aaron's idea, and he's knocked it out of the park every single time since then.
Oh man! Well, some of our guests are a little less than thrilled, but a lot of them are just really jazzed about how much fun they had doing it. So I'm grateful that we're doing it, and I hope to continue doing it. I would really like very much to actually do something similar where we can give out actual prizes, but because of the nature of Skype and lag and things like that, it's a little difficult. So for now, it's just something we do for fun at the end of every episode. And so far, Cassidy's been a trooper. I think she's won over 50% of her matches, so
right.
she's doing it strong.
Can't see it, but I'm flexing right now.
Oh. So talking about your guests, how do you actually choose the guest for each week? How does that decision go down? Is it a long deliberation between the two of you, or is it just whoever the hell you can get that week?
About 10 minutes before we record.
Yeah, sometimes it's really, really last minute, but...
Yup. When we had Callie Plaguey on, what I do is the worst thing that you can do as a podcast host, and that's I'll talk to people and be like, hey, would you ever be interested in this? And then they say yes, and I say cool, and then I completely forget about it for weeks at a time. And then I double back to it, and I'm like, oh, hey, this thing, you want to try this out? Yeah. Otherwise, we kind of... It sort of just depends. I have quite a few friends, through IGN that I talk to fairly regularly that I love having on. Aaron's just got a bunch of really cool, he's got a very wide, diverse array of people that he's had on. It's just kind of fun to get different opinions and viewpoints on.
Yeah, I think I got Matt Van Roon and his girlfriend Kathy. They stream together for GOG.com. They were on one episode, and then the very next episode, I got two people who were very busy with the Buffalo theater scene. and I got them on, so we talked about theater for a bit, and that was really interesting. And then with the one episode we haven't put up yet, I had some improv comedy group, Defiant Monkey, come on. And so, like, I just because of my theater background and because I also like have a wide range of geeky friends, all of which who do geeky things, like Shayna, who does the cosplay for the Java Boobs episode. I didn't know how she was going to be, and then that just somehow turned into the funniest podcast I've ever done, like ever. Like she was amazing. So it's kind of this thing where like I feel like I never know who's going to be a great guest. So I'm just keeping like a list of people, people in my life who are, fantastic geeks and love what they do, and maybe they have something to push, maybe not. But I do have a list of people that I occasionally go to when Cassidy says, do we have a guest for this week's podcast? And I'm like, I've got a list. Hang on. I'll just go straight to it.
A lot of just very last minute, seat of our pants kind of thing. Like, we don't have a set day that we record. It's kind of just like, all right, when do we have a spare hour this week so we can sit down and do this? Yeah. Nope.
I can't wait.
Times being what they are, we can't always organize times to have like podcast meetings.
Well, right now it's mostly just Twitter messages back and forth.
Yeah, just DMs back and forth.
Yup.
So with your podcast being about anything geeky, what is, away from video games, your number one geekiest thing that you just geek out about the most? I think Aaron, you can go first.
Mine's pretty obvious, especially lately. Like almost every show I have to talk about Doctor Who. I just recently got, like, almost as soon as the podcast started, I got sucked into Doctor Who, and I've watched all the episodes up to, I think I'm in the middle of the 4th season right now, which, as I understand it, is David Tennant's last season. Damn it. But no, I've loved a lot of the characters so far, and I really love the show. So I've been geeking out a lot about that. But there are other things that I could geek out even more about, like game shows, obviously, and of course, Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies of all time. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to review those and then talk about those at some point.
We haven't really talked about those, have we?
Not really. Although I just read, thankfully, that the guy Robert Zemeckis, who owns the rights to them, will block any effort to get the original movies remade.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm
really thrilled with that. I'm like, please don't try and remake that. Please don't.
Yeah, he pretty much said over my dead body, like literally.
Yeah. Good man. Honest to God. You cannot top perfection. You will just taint it. So don't. Anyway.
It's been really well. I just wanted to quickly say this about Aaron and you talking about Doctor Who. It's so fun to hear you going through the old series, because I'm in England, so I saw them all when they all came out on the BBC, and it's just
you guys are like, you legally have to watch it, right?
Yeah, you're required by law.
Right.
Yeah. It's Saturday night. You gotta stay in and watch Doctor Who, otherwise the Queen comes round with a card and just beats you senseless.
But she has corgis, so that would be okay.
Yeah. Corgis just sit in the corner and stare.
Oh, goodness.
So it's just so fun listening to you just rejoice about the good times of Doctor Who, because the bad times are coming.
That's what I'm told. I'm told it kind of goes downhill after David Tennant leaves, but... it
doesn't go downhill, it just goes sideways in a really, really bizarre manner, and you'll have to get out some graphs to chart it. I'll let you get ready for that.
All right. Yeah, I geeked out quite a bit when I saw Blink. Blink is probably one of my favorite time travel stories ever. It's so good from start to finish. I love that episode so much. It's going to be regular viewing for me, I think. But hopefully it won't be so sideways that I'll stop loving the show altogether. But I'll at least always have those early seasons where they, did things right. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not there yet, so.
Yeah, I'll wait for the podcast in the future in which I'll make it. You'll eat those words. You'll look
I'll
back
just
on.
start screaming,
Yeah.
Doctor Who is shit! It's shit!
You'll,
What
you'll,
did they do?
you'll look at Blink and you just go, why didn't they just leave it?
I'll just give up and stop watching and go back to Christopher Eccleston again, and I'll be happy again. I'll be like, nope, this isn't happening. I'm going to ignore it. Hopefully it won't be that bad, but we'll see.
So yeah, Casey, to you, most geekiest thing.
Just call me Casey.
Sorry.
Don't do that.
Come on, man.
I learned early on.
I geek out about my name being. Nah, it's fine. True story. I actually had a good friend of mine called me Casey for about 2 years before he realized that it wasn't actually my name. It was one of those weird things where like it got too far. I couldn't correct him. It would be too awkward. Yeah, it was really strange. Anyway, my geek outs. I mean, comics. I love comics a lot. I recently got hardcore into them probably about a year ago, and so I've been really just kind of enjoying discovering those and learning what I like with them. And I love to draw, and that's kind of a lot of why I got into them too. Is I really really like the art, and it's something that I enjoy studying and kind of trying to mimic in a way. And Star Wars. I could talk about Star Wars. That was my first nerd love when I was 6 years old. Still my nerd love at 26 years old. It's the best.
So with you getting back into comics, have you found it an easy transition because like some of your choices have been more of the recent runs? So has that been easy enough to get into? You haven't felt too overwhelmed by it all?
I mean, it kind of depends on the series. Like, I really like Deadpool, and I started reading Jerry Dugan and Brian Posehn's run, which was fantastic. But, like, I only had a real surface level knowledge of it, so I would actually go on YouTube, and there's a bunch of different channels where people kind of talk about the history of different characters, and it sort of helped me just get, like, a quick crash course in it so that I had something to start off with when I was going in. Because that's kind of the problem. I have a really hard time recommending a lot of the Marvel and DC comics to people because they do have such a depth and a weird history, and especially the big ones, right? Like the Avengers and Batman and Superman. Like there's such an extensive, weird, twisted history of it that it's hard just to jump into. But then there are other series that are a little more off the beaten path, but are still fantastic, and they're a lot more accessible. So that's stuff like Miss Marvel is relatively new. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, which I need to catch up on. That's a great series. Batgirl recently relaunched kind of under a whole new creative team, and it's been amazing so far. But I've also gotten a lot into the Image series because those are all fairly new, so they don't have quite the depth of just crap that, that a lot of the other ones do from the big two. So that's a lot of stuff like Rat Queens and Copperhead, and I would say The Walking Dead, except that one's pretty meaty too at this point. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing, is getting a little bit more into the independent stuff as well.
Yeah, is any in particular, like, have you been checking up on Saga or?
I do like Saga. Yeah, I haven't caught all the way up on it, but I do enjoy that one quite a bit. I mean, my main love right now is Rat Queens. It's great. It's an Image series, and it's about 4 women, and they live in like this fantasy world, and they're like mercenaries, and they're super trashy and boozy and awful, but you just love them, and it's just a fun comic. It's got brilliant art, and I also really, really like Red Sonja. I started reading that fairly recently. Mostly the stuff that Gail Simone has written, and that's also really, really good.
All right. I just want to. Since you mentioned it, I kind of want to test your knowledge now on like Star Wars stuff.
Is this because I'm a girl?
No, it's because
gotta make sure.
it has nothing to do with that. It's mainly because any stuff. I love poking people when they're into stuff because
It's fine.
Because there's nothing more fun than when there's a game shop that I used to go to around here, and they were some of the biggest Star Wars fans I had ever heard. And whenever I'd ask them about like canon, they would have to say what type.
Oh god.
Because like there's the main canon, there's the side canon, there's the novel canon, then there's like 12 others from there. and it always fascinated me of just like how much of like that much they got into it that they would like concentrate that hard. And I was just wondering if that's your level of interest, or if it's just a little bit more I just enjoy them type stuff.
I mean, I have actually. I've read some of the novels. I'm not sure I could sit and go on a game show about the novel canon. That's a lot. That's pretty extensive. Same with the comics. I've like kind of dabbled in them. More of the video games. I've played a bunch of those. I've also I've watched Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars and all the movies and all that. It's just like I love the world of Star Wars. I think it's fascinating. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So you can test my knowledge all you want. I can't promise it'll be impressive.
To be fair, I just wanted to see what you knew. There's nothing I know about Star Wars. The only things that I know about them that I can clearly say is in terms of the Clone Wars, it should have just stuck with a 2D version in terms of cartoons and not done a 3D version.
Oh, see, I liked the 3D. I don't know. The 2D looked a little too weird for me. It was a little too Cartoon Network-y for me.
Is that because it was done by the guy who did Dexter's Lab?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was very stylistic, I'll give it that much. And like it looked good, but I really like what they did with Rebels. I think Rebels looks really good.
That's that's the more recent one, isn't it? That's the one that's just currently airing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it starts up again. I think season 2 picks up fairly soon.
Yeah, and then there's Force Awakens that comes out in December.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been catching up on that?
You know what? No, I'm on complete blackout. I don't like, if it's something that I'm really, really interested in, I don't like learning everything about it before I go in. I kind of want to be surprised.
So you don't know that you can buy that little robot?
Oh, well, yeah. I don't understand the BB-8 love. Like, you know nothing about it. Like, I actually tweeted, I'm like, watch him be, like, the worst character. He's, like, super racist and awful. You know? I mean, he's cute, I guess. I'm not sure what the love is for that, but, you know, whatever. People enjoy it. I'm not going to knock that.
Cassidy, please go ahead and plug everything about what you do, everything about SuperJump Radio, and everything about Aaron's stuff, because we can't get it back. If you don't mind.
No, not at all. That's fine. You can find me on Twitter at Caassidee Moser. My name is spelled weird. It's Cassidee. No Y's at all. It gets jumbled up a lot. And then SuperJump Radio is just... It's at SuperJ Radio on Twitter. It's if you want to go to the actual proper website, it's superjumpradio.squarespace.com, because I didn't feel like buying a domain. Aaron is at Pantsless Shorts. He's also Pantsless Shorts on YouTube. As for my stuff, I mean, you can find, like, I do news at IGN every day, pretty much, unless I have anything else pressing. So you can come check in and see what's up over there.
All right.
I think he's I don't remember what his Twitch is. If you go on Aaron's Twitter, he's got his Twitch stuff on there too for his GOG streams, so definitely check that out.
All right. Well, this has been another interview, and thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having us on. It's been fun.
For being such great guests. This has been a huge update, and I've been Alistair, and thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye, and then Cassidy's going to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, sorry. Is that the time? Goodbye, everybody.
It's alright, I love doing that to my guests. Goodbye, and yep, see you next time. Bye.